All right, shalom, and welcome to another Bible study that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. My name is Esaac ben Israel, and I am the elder priest of the United Congregation of Israel. I'm still getting used to saying that. And I am joined here with the under priest, who is also an elder priest, Priest Kish. Shalom, my brother. We kind of, you look in the mirror one day and realize, you know what? I'm the old dude. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's man, that's different. I'm still, I'm not used to the elder part. But we're gonna get into a few things. One of the things, man, I heard on the right before I came here is that one of the what they said, the Southern Christian leadership sent a letter to this church and said because they had a woman pastor, they were being kicked out of the Southern Christian leadership. The people said, we were never in the Southern Christian leadership. How y'all sent us? But what's interesting though is, how people then, come out and say that, oh, this is oppressive, this is such and such. And what I find, amazing that, there's just certain parts of the book that we just have, gotten to the point that we're just not going to deal with. So, Saul, you kind of understand why Saul is so hated in the New Testament, because he is not dealing with the letter of the law. He's dealing with the spirit of the law. And that spirit of the law thing gets very, very difficult, especially if you don't have the spirit. When trying to figure out which things, you ought to deal with. And that brings us to like this, a huge mountain of things. So you have this letter of the law that says, you shall not do this, you shall not do that. Then you have things, especially as we go on further, in development and technology, all of a sudden things have been invented that now the regular law in itself now becomes a real gray area. All right, because it's just not cut and dry like it was before. And when you have companies and individuals claiming things that they should not have power over, there's certain things that we just wouldn't consider. If you just, not even like a whole long time ago, if you just go back a couple generations and tell your granddaddy, one day we're going to be buying water. Boy, you don't get up out of here. You got to be the dumbest kid. See, I knew you was stupid. I knew you was stupid. Just in a generation, the change, so, with the way things have gone, now all of a sudden criminal offenses have been made out of things that you wouldn't even think could be. We ended up having a question. Brother said that he wanted to watch this film, and somebody said, yeah, I got the film. And then the brother said, well, it's a bootleg. Will I be wrong if I watch it? So it was just, it's funny how technology has now put us into a thing. Like I thought, I come from, the old school of bootleg where there was really a camera in the boot while he put his leg on the chair and he filmed the movie. That's not how that's done anymore. They're not even bringing like the little reels into the movie theater. That's not how they're doing. That stuff is coming over the air. So you have people who could get, subscriptions and watch live movies that are in the theaters. They can watch that in their house. So, people say, well, is this bootlegging and blah, blah, blah. Now we get down to a question. How did you send that? We sent it in the air. How the hell you own the air? At what point did you become ownership of the air? One of the first things when I went to DeVry, it had to be right first week. The professor, he was a genius, and he looked like he was an idiot, you know. Had old suits, fly collars, polyester, you know, didn't comb his hair. He looked like a genius because he looked like he didn't care about nothing else. First thing he said was getting on the cell phone is the equivalent of getting on 2 ladders and yelling your business across the air. Anybody who step in front of it in the middle can take it. That was his description, and he was a consultant for NASA. This is what his thought process of a cell phone was. You know, and so then you get to this point of now people telling you that stuff that they threw in the air is now illegal for you to reach up in the air and get it. This is a different, now, you think about when they were delivering physical product. They put a reel in a truck, and the truck went to the movie theater and started playing it. All right, you stole something, you stole their physical product. Now, if you broadcast something in the air, and they sell something that's called a scanner, I plug it up, the scanner said, doo-doo-doo. Wait a minute. I heard doo-doo-doo. Wait a minute. Well, we just got one, baby. Come on, let's see what we're going to watch tonight. Doo-doo-doo. That's all. Hey, all I did was plug it in. You put it in the air. So, it in this same situation, now we have companies that say they own seeds. How can you own a seed? So now these things make the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law exceptionally difficult because of how things are being packaged. Let's start in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26.
I want to ask you a quick question before we start. How do you charge me to store stuff in the cloud?
Hey, brother, I guess they got their own cloud. You got to get yours. You find out where your cloud at.
Genesis chapter 1.
Chapter 1, and let's start it at verse 26.
And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth.
Right. And what people make their biggest mistake in is they try to date man back as long as the earth is. Man didn't have dominion over dinosaurs. Understand, Yahweh has levels of his creation, and there are animals that came first. Then he says, let us make man in our image. For him to make man in his or their image, then it has to have dominion. That means nothing else eats it. Put man on the earth and a T-Rex at the same time, it's just not prudent planning. It's just how they supposed to rule, how they supposed to be like you if something eat them, Yahweh? How's that work? How they in the top of the food chain if they ain't? So people try to say, well, you know, man don't date back. Man ain't supposed to. If we read this story in the way that it is going, these animals are coming first. We don't understand that one of Yahweh's days might be 1,000,000 years. We keep thinking that we on the same level as him. So our one day is his one day. That's not so. Go ahead.
So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of El created he him. Male and female created he them. And Elohim blessed them. And Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth.
Right. So we already know that then this has to be a timed situation. Because if we go back far enough, we know that man could not have dominion over that. Not when they'll turn around and find a dinosaur bigger than a skyscraper and the whole thing be intact. Find all the bones right there together. Go ahead.
And Elohim said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat.
Now, wait a minute. Now, Yahweh said, I've given you. Now, that's not you personally. That is you as everybody on the earth. You can't say, you know what, this, the apple seed is mine. No. The apple seed and the apple tree in your yard is yours. But man is so wicked that man has, as it is written, Yahweh has made them upright, but man has made many inventions. So now they have created terminator seeds that will only grow one season. And then now you got to keep paying them for that particular seed. It won't produce in itself anymore. So does man now dealing with the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law, is a man a thief now if he decide that I'm going to grow this apple no matter what you say, and I'm not using your seed, I ain't paying you for no apple because you telling me you done patented an apple. How can you patent something that you didn't make? But their defense is the twisted creation they did make, because they go in, genetically modify the seed and make it its own while killing off all the other ones. So now that seed then becomes theirs and you have to pay for that every year. It won't produce the fruit, which then produces the seed, and then the seed itself will produce more fruit. No matter what you do, you got to keep buying seed. Go ahead.
And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creeps upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat, and it was so. And Elohim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day.
Right. So then as we start trying to get into this whole debate about the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law, we have to consider the timing of man's inventions and how these things come into play when it comes time to decide what's righteous and what is not righteous. Let's go to John chapter 7. And let's start that at verse 1.
And after these things, Yahshua walked in Galilee, where he would not walk in Uri, because the Yehudis sought to kill him.
Uh-huh.
Now the Yehudis' Feast of Tabernacles was at hand.
All right. Now, in the Old Testament, of course, even at the subheading here, it says the Feast of Booths. You know, this is a Old Testament feast, once again, that is being mentioned in the New Testament. Yet people say, you know what? If you do this, then you're doing that old covenant law. Yet we have a situation where we can go and read in Acts, after the birth, death, and resurrection of Christ, they still keeping Pentecost. But on most, churches, that's the only one that they'll keep, because they know that that one can be found. You cannot dispute that one in the book of Acts. But they love calling it Pentecost because most people don't understand that it came out of the Old Testament. They don't understand that that is Feast of Weeks. Go ahead.
His brethren therefore said unto him, Depart hence and go into Judea, that your disciples also may see the works that you doeth. For there is no man that does anything in secret, and he himself seeks to be known openly. If you do these things, show yourself to the world. For neither did his brethren believe in him. Then Yahshua said unto them, My time is not yet come, but your time is always ready. The world cannot hate you, but me it hates, because I testify of it, that the works thereof are evil. Go you up unto this feast. I go not up yet unto this feast, for my time is not yet full come.
Right. Now, he could have said, I'm going to nail all this to my cross So I ain't going because we don't need to go. See, we don't need to go. I'm nailing that to the ground. I got the nails in my pocket. He could have said it. Go ahead.
When he had said these words unto them, he abode still in Galilee. But when his brethren were gone up, then went he also up unto the feast, not openly, but as it were in secret. Then the Yehudis sought him at the feast, and said, Where is he? And there was much murmuring among the people concerning him. For some said, He's a good man. Others said, No, but he deceives the people.
Right. Now, this is where every man has to allow himself to be either convinced or unconvinced about what it is he sees. Now, Yahweh will allow time and situation to happen so that every man go ahead and make his stance. See? So just like you had the 70 before, and Yahshua says, except you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no place in me. They got up. They had to go. When it was done, he's down to these 12. All right, this is who I'm supposed to have right here. Then he gives them the understanding. But every man has to get an opportunity to see what he think he sees. Now, you can't tell these 70 that they ain't right. Biblically, looking at the letter of the law, he says, except you eat my flesh and drink my blood. They were right in having an issue with him if you keep it on the flesh. So now we have to ask ourselves, is there two rights? Is there two situations? It all depends on which set of eyes you're looking through. Are you looking through the fleshly eyes, or are you looking through the spiritual eyes? There's another places in here where it says they sought false witnesses. Wait a minute. Why was the witnesses called false? The stuff that they said he did. He said, this man said he was going to tear down the temple and build it in 3 days. But they was called false witness. Wait a minute. What they said was right. They looked through natural eyes, though. So they saw that and attempted to condemn him for what they saw naturally. Now, you can't force natural people to see spiritual things. They are only going to see as far as they are allowed to see. When you got somebody who grew up in a roach-infested environment and everybody they know have roaches, when they meet somebody at school and that person say, I don't have roaches, they say, you a lie. They get angry with you. You a lie. Why I got to be lying? Everybody got roaches. No, everybody does not. Everybody that you knew before you met me today has roaches. I don't have roaches. And they'll get angry with you. Why? Because that's the only thing that they know. That's their truth. Because they've never seen any other thing like it. They're stuck in that place. So, and here is where that thing can get really difficult. A person can be seeing something, and what they see is true with the set of eyes that they're looking through. That's what we have to figure out. When you encounter a situation, is the individual looking through eyes of the flesh, or are they looking with eyes of the spirit? Because these groups of people saw different things. Cephas heard the exact same parable. He heard this exact same thing about eating Yahshua's flesh and drinking his blood. Why didn't Cephas leave? Why didn't the others leave? Judas was a devil. He didn't even leave. So they all saw the same things. But what is your perception of what you saw? And then that then has to do with what's in here and what we let stay in there. See, sometimes we may be forced to see something in a way based on our own past situations that we either have not gotten over or refuse to deal with. So then we have to consider that as we keep going through some of these things, because we're now dealing with the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law. Go ahead, bro.
Yohanan chapter 7 and verse 13. Howbeit no man spake openly of him for fear of the Yehudis. Now about the midst of the feast, Yahshua went up into the temple and taught. And the Yehudis marveled, saying, How knoweth this man letters, having never learned? Yahshua answered them and said, My doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of Elohim or whether I speak of myself. He that speaks of himself seeks his own glory, but he that seeks his glory that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. Did not Moshe give you the law? And yet none of you keep the law. Why go you about to kill me?
Now, you see how the interesting part is, although they are so-called doctors of the law, they are ready to kill him for breaking the law according to their understanding of it. This is how things get there. This just not this thing. This is all around. This is why Yahweh took judgment out of Israel's hands, because of things like this. How we look at the law one way when it's something that's not attached to us. When it's something that happened to us in our house, we look at that law totally different. See, we got a bag of rocks for the neighbor when he stole something. But then when our kids stole something, well, it wasn't that bad. Wait a minute. There was a bag of rocks you had for the neighbor when he stole. How was that same bag of rocks not thrown at your kid? So now we dealing with things a little different. And you understand why Yahweh took that judgment out of our hands. Now you got to be ready to deal with righteous judgment. Go ahead.
The people answered and said, You have a devil. Who goes about to kill you? Yahshua answered and said unto them, I have done one work, and you all marvel. Moshe therefore gave unto you circumcision, not because it is of Moshe, but of the fathers. And you on the Sabbath day circumcise a man. If a man on the Sabbath day receives circumcision, that the law of Moshe should not be broken, are you angry at me because I have made a man every whit whole on the Sabbath day? Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment.
Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. So he says, why exactly are you angry at me? Are you angry that I have healed a man? Are you angry that I've healed a man on the Sabbath? Or are you angry that you can't heal a man yourself? What is the real anger? What is the real reason that there's a problem here? And it's interesting how, Israel will come at him, but think about all the stuff that them centurions had to be doing on the Sabbath day. And we ready to strangle brother up, and them Gentiles was over there doing all kind of stuff in our land on the Sabbath day, and ain't nobody said nothing. See, we the hardest on each other. We'll forgive everybody but each other. We hard on one another. Let somebody else come in, we done forgave them before they even got through talking. They ain't even through sin. They ain't even wiped the knife off that they stabbed us with. We already forgiven them. Go ahead.
It's the thing about perception. Perception, it's got to be real. You can be living in a false perception, and what they were looking at was something real superficial, because as opposed to he's healing a man on the Sabbath day, and really a lot of that was about them being jealous of the things that he was able to do, that was going to cause them to look a certain kind of way that they didn't have the ability to do. So that perception, if it's not accurate, your judgment can be absolutely false.
No doubt. And it's one of those things where if they are in a part where their heart has gotten a certain way, then they are seeing only that thing. You know, when you talk about, you know, you have to wonder, like, well, how did those people feel after it was revealed that Yahshua was talking about this bread being his body and the wine being his blood? All of those people felt justified in walking away. And Yahweh will allow some people to feel justified when they off his two left shoes. He let them feel justified. Why? So they can go ahead and have enough power to do whatever that is that they are wanting to do. He lets them stay there. Let's go to Luke chapter 18.
You know, as we're talking about this whole situation of they saw the miracles and still couldn't accept the power that this man had. And we ourselves have sat here and we've seen people come through the door in one way, physical ailments, get their baptism, and we see they're starting to strengthen up. And then you go back right through the door. It's like, what was your perception? This has happened to you. You're the biggest receiver, but you still can't understand where the spiritual healing came from. That is more amazing when you're the one that's receiving and still go off into foolishness.
Well, that's not where their issue is. They know where it came from. They just think they don't need it anymore. You understand? Yeah, this is how we seen when my elder was alive. A guy was on dialysis constantly.
Yes, he was.
Came in the Word, started doing stuff, and I mean, got better, to the point where he was off his medicine, didn't have to go through all of this stuff, walked away from the Word. Next time, and he was a, you know, big corn-fed brother. You know what I'm saying? Brother was thick. Brother came back in there, and I mean, a good wind, a fan took him down. It turned the fan on high, blew him over. Too late to come back then. After that, he was out of here. Forgot where the healing came from. It wasn't a situation of forgot. He thought he didn't need it anymore. See, that's the thing that we think about healing and growth. I got it, so it's done.
And it'll go with me.
See, I came here, I got the Spirit, and I'm leaving, I'm going to take the Spirit with me. And, hey, it was too late. Like, you know, because the brother ended up leaving with a bunch of other brothers. And this is where people put themselves in situations with other people and not understanding you got a situation that those other people don't have.
Right.
And you walking off with them. Yahweh take their spirit. They might not be able to do certain works again. All right? But they still gonna live. You came and got a healing in your body. You walk away, you die. He didn't consider it. Not on this earth anymore. No longer on this earth. Go ahead.
You know, and I just got to say, because he was a gentle brother. I love that brother, but
Got a hold of somebody else.
He did.
Wasn't even his fight. Got involved in somebody else's fight.
Yep. And took sides and just couldn't let it go. And it was a shame because, you know, people don't realize that he got that healing because Yahweh had given him a gift, and he was using that gift in that.
Yep.
He was doing those graphics. He was doing things in that camp, and I mean, he was actually working under that gift, and that confusion happened, and before you know it, he was gone, and the next thing you know, he came back one last time to visit us, and 2 weeks later, we heard that he passed away.
Yep. And Yahweh is very poetic in dealing with things. I came in around the ending as he was going out. Half of the stuff that was happening, I didn't know what I was looking at. A few years later, I knew exactly what I was looking at. I knew exactly what was happening. There were certain people who I thought was nice. They was only nice to me. Because they wanted something from me. Come to figure out they were nasty to everybody else in the room. I was like, what? That person was rude? It was like, bruh, you the only one they wasn't rude to. And that's because they wanted something. So, as we go through some of this, this is where we get an opportunity to look at some situations to prick our own hearts. Luke 18, and let's start that at verse 9.
And he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous, and despised others. 2 men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee, and the other a publican.
Right. Now, you have to understand, just from the groups that they belong to. The Pharisees are doctors of the law. Publicans, tax collectors. So, you got one group that already look like they're better than the other one right away. So, by association, the Pharisee believes that he should be better than the other individual. Go ahead.
The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself. Elohim, I thank you that I am not as other men are, extortioners.
Stop. Right when you said, I thank you that I'm not as other men are, you might well stop praying. There ain't no need to keep praying at that point. There's no need of praying. The rest of this prayer was not even needed. I don't even need to hear the rest of it. Once you say, I thank you that I ain't like them. You know them. I thank you I'm so much better. That took care of the business right there. But then he ain't gonna stop there. He gonna keep going. Go ahead.
Unjust. Well, as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican.
Now, I want you to look at something. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus within himself. First of all, it was within himself. He didn't say it out loud, okay? Pay attention. So that means these are your thoughts about individuals who you are seeing, that you have your thoughts about them, whether or not they are accurate or not. These are what your thoughts. You don't have to say something for Elohim to mark you as guilty, all right? He did this inside himself. And inside himself, he said, I thank you that I'm not as other men are. Extortioners. Now, listen to these things. These are all adjectives, if you will, to describe people. All right. So he goes, extortioners, unjust, adulterers. Then he mentioned a group of people. You need to see what happened there. That he just mentioned. So every publican just should automatically be marked as evil. All of the rest of these are characteristics that he does not think is favorable. Then just go even as this publican. What about him? What made this publican a bad person? Oh, was it his job? Was it something that you've seen him do in the past? What makes the publican this way? So now does everybody who's a publican, are they all this way? Do they now all get this same judgment? Does it matter if this publican operates different from other publicans, or if he operates differently than how he dealt before? Is he held forever responsible for everything that he's ever done? And do we do that same thing to ourselves? Do we hold ourselves accountable for everything that we've done while we're holding the publican responsible for everything that he's done? So, but look at how he feels justified, because not only is he better, now he's going into what all he does to make himself better. Go ahead.
But isn't this the same mindset you're taking on when you believe that only natural Israel will be saved?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. It is the same mindset. Go ahead.
I fast twice in the week.
I
give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican standing afar off.
Now, listen to the difference in the humbling. See, this is what happened. He has done good, but so good that he can't see anybody else. And the publican standing afar off. Go ahead.
Would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, Elohim, be merciful to me, a sinner.
Uh-huh.
I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalts himself shall be abased, and he that humbles himself shall be exalted.
Okay, so then now we have to consider some things. The Pharisee exalted himself while the publican humbled himself. When we get down and we start reading the thing about the brother who forgave his brother of a debt, or he asked for his debt to be forgiven, but then he found a fellow servant that owed him even less than what he owed, and he put his hands around his neck, beat him down, and said, "You gonna pay all that you owe." So he was okay with receiving forgiveness, but he just wasn't good at giving it. Let's go to Luke chapter 7.
You know, it's a great thing that we went here, because earlier I wanted to talk about Yeshua himself, and we see that even him with the position he was in never exalted himself. He would go back to, didn't Moshe give you this?
Uh-huh.
Wasn't this in the scriptures? Which he could have exalted himself, but he stayed humble in everything and put it in a different direction.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Luke chapter 7. We're going to start at verse 36. Now, you have to think about this thing. Even as this publican, nothing specifically was mentioned that the publican had done wrong. His problem was he was a publican. That's his problem. He just have, Preach Kish did read some things the other night. We was talking about coming out of Nazareth. It said, does any good thing come out of Nazareth? So now, Nazareth is such a place that has a reputation. If you live there, you must be, you can't be good because you lived in Nazareth. Now, are they being judged righteously by any of their deeds? No, they just being judged by where they lived. They lived in Nazareth. It can't be nothing good come out of Nazareth. Now, coming out or coming from somewhere has two foundations. You're either coming from somewhere physically or you're coming from somewhere spiritually. Luke chapter 7, and let's start that at verse 36.
And one of the Pharisees desired him that he would eat with him. And he went into the Pharisee's house and sat down to meat. And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Yeshua sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought in an alabaster box of ointment, and stood at his feet behind him weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment. Now when the Pharisee which had bidden him saw it, he spake within himself.
Once again, these inner thoughts. All right, I need to go ahead and make sure that we are aware that these are not things that we said openly. These are things that we are entertaining in our own heart. He says within himself. Go ahead.
But doesn't Scripture say you'll be judged for even your very thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay.
But see, and here's the thing. You have to listen to what is said. Is it just about the woman? It's not. Keep reading.
Saying, this man, if he were a prophet.
Now he's even in question now. If he were a prophet, he's coming into question because he has allowed the company of this woman. Go ahead.
Would have known who and what manner of woman this is that touches him, for she is a sinner.
If this man were a prophet, he would have known. He wouldn't be with this woman, for she is a sinner. All right? Is currently, if he were a prophet. So now his prophetic office is coming into question. Go ahead.
And Yeshua answering said unto him, Simon, I have somewhat to say unto you.
Because see, he know the thoughts. So now he's going into a little bit of discovery right now. Go ahead.
And he says, Master, say on. There was a certain creditor which had two debtors. The one owed 500 pence and the other 50. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, therefore, which of them will love him most?
Which of them will love him most? So when you get down to the love that we say we have for the Most High, the ones who believe that they haven't really done any wrong, they have a small amount of love for the Most High. The ones who know that they have done wrong, their love for the Most High is on swole. That's why things happen, you couldn't run them away. But those who think they already got it, a good wind can take them out of here. Go ahead.
You know, even though the scriptures say, judge yourself so you be not judged, we like to judge ourselves from where we're at. And forget that.
Well, not where we came from.
Right. And then remember that once you do one act of sin, you done burned up
You
all those works.
starting over.
So all of that stuff from your past can be brought back to the judgment table.
If you set it on fire. If you set it on fire, that's why you got to be constantly working. See? You know, it's real easy to figure out. You got a bank account. If you keep withdrawing and you ain't make no deposits, what you think gonna happen? What you think gonna happen? It is real simple. We say, man, I hit the lotto. You know how many people hit the lotto and they out there behind the car wash on Glenwood right now? They behind there on that right now, trying to pop lock. Let me get 10. You know He's like, this dude hit the lotto. Why is he behind bay number 2? Why is he behind bay? He hit lotto. Right. See, you can't keep making withdrawals and you ain't made no deposits. It's the simplest form. So if that's what's happening, no, you're going to end up with some problems. Go ahead.
Simeon answered and said, I suppose that he to whom he forgave most.
I suppose to he to whom. Now you see how Yahshua comes. What he's doing is he's pricking the heart. You notice he's not having no battle script. He didn't come out of him and say, Jeremiah 14, verse 12, my brother. You notice he didn't do that? You notice he didn't do that? He asked him a simple situation. Let's put the simple situation. Who do you think is going to love most? So let me put it to you plainly. The reason you looking down on the other person is the reason I look up to them. You see, the thing that you thinking is making her worse, I say it's making her better than you. Go ahead.
And he said unto him, you have rightly judged. And he turned to the woman and said unto Simeon, see you this woman?
Okay, now it's finna go down. Yeah, because these are thoughts that you already done had in your heart about this woman. Now I'm going to check you about this woman. Go ahead.
I entered into your house. You gave me no water for my feet. But she has washed my feet with tears and wiped them with the hairs of her head.
You ain't give me no water for my feet. See, you got a little bit of love for me. Why? Because you think you already got it. She got a lot of love for me. Why? Because she knows she need it. Go ahead.
You gave me no kiss. But this woman, since the time I came in, has not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil you did not anoint, but this woman has anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto you, her sins, which are many.
Her sins, which are many. Go ahead.
Are forgiven. For she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loves little.
Right. Now see, this is where we get into some of our biggest mistakes. We want to go out and get something as polished as we can possibly get it. When Yahweh may be, if you're going to get you a good piece of steak, you just cook that piece of steak, it's hard, it ain't worth a damn. But it got to be beat up a little bit. And sometimes Yahweh say, tenderize that thing over there. Go and get them beat up on it a little bit. Then now you got that falling off the bone. You say, this is absolutely amazing right here. What happened to it? It got tenderized. See, and them trials and tribulations that we go through, that's our tenderizing. So we want something fresh out the butcher shop, but understand, somebody got to beat that. or else that's going to be a terrible state. Somebody got to do it. Now, that's either you or somebody else. But somebody got to do something to it. Somebody got to season that. So he says, then if these people who have just a little bit of sin and they love little, then you have to ask yourself, wait a minute, what kind of people is Yeshua looking for then? He says he's looking for those that are going to love him with their whole heart. Now, if a person feel like they already got it together, how much they gonna love him? Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 12. And right here in this situation, now, you find that sometimes how we look at something or examine a situation is externally and not internally. And although Yahweh has said great things about Dawid, he says that Dawid was a man after his own heart. But when certain situations arise, you have a situation where he's examining this externally. He's not dealing with it internally. And that ends up causing a judgment issue. Because if we consider ourselves in a situation, this is why it says, if a brother be overtaken in a matter, consider yourself. What is that about? What is that? Think about your situation. And let me tell you how Yahweh will make you deal with a situation a certain way. He will cause something to happen to you, right? And you still pondering as to, why did this happen? Then a situation gets presented. And then you realize, oh, he wanted me to be sensitive to this situation when it was presented to. But if you don't sit down and meditate on that, you're not going to know that. See, you're going to still deal with that situation externally and not internally. See, everything that happened to you ain't about you. Some things happen unto you just so your mind can be ready for something else that is about to be presented to you. So, with that thought, let's 2 Samuel chapter 12. Let's start that at verse 1.
And Yahweh sent Nathan unto Dawid, and he came unto him, and said unto him, there were 2 men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. Now,
at this point, Dawid has already taken the wife of another man. All right? Now, we can go back in the law and read some things, and we can clearly see what's supposed to be done here. But one of the things that we also have to look at is Dawid's external view of this situation, because it's given to him generically. All right? It's a generic situation that's presented to him, and he deals with it externally. If he's dealing internally, he should have already been thinking about, you know what, man, you know what, Nate, I think you need to let him go. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you probably need to let him go. You know what I'm saying? I mean, who knows, with a Huey lamb, and you know what I'm saying? Keep reading.
The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing, save one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and nourished up, and it grew up together with him and with his children. It did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom.
Lay in his bosom. Go ahead.
And was unto him as a daughter.
So he's saying how much this one little ewe lamb meant to this poor man. This is all he had. This was his one little sugar knuckle-bucker. This is it. All right? It laid in his bosom. He loved this right here. Go ahead.
And there came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd, to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him. but took the poor man's lamb and dressed it for the man that was come to him.
Took the poor man's lamb. Go ahead.
And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man.
Now, David's anger is greatly kindled. Understand now, a king has to read out of the law. He knows the law. He knows how to deal with it. But he's not dealing with the law internally. He's dealing with the law externally. He's not dealing with the law from within inside himself. He's dealing with the law this way, not this way. Go ahead.
And he said to Nathan, as Yahweh lives, the man that has done this thing.
He's declaring, as Yahweh lives. He says, surely die. Go ahead.
Here's the problem. Nathan is putting forth the situation.
A generic version
Right.
of the situation. Go ahead.
But Nathan has not asked him what he thinks about the situation.
Yeah,
He's so
not at all.
angry that he just interjects.
Not at all. Not
passes
at all.
judgment.
He didn't ask him what you think we ought to do to this man. But see, here's where a simple conversation opens up for everybody's opinion. This is why certain things you may want to be careful what you put out in the atmosphere. So Nathan puts it out in the atmosphere and just sits there. He didn't have to ask him. Because it was put forth, he given his own. Go ahead.
Did you have
Well, and I was just going to say, and him being the king, if he was the king, he knew what the law says, so he went straight to the law book. But he's pointing out with the law.
He definitely know what the law. A king's supposed to have a copy of the law.
Exactly.
And he's supposed to read out of it every day. So he is spitting law. He's spitting it until it spits back. Go ahead.
And he shall restore the lamb fourfold.
All law.
Because he did this thing and because he had no pity.
He had no pity. Now, David is proclaiming this. Now, it's about a ewe lamb. And the man ought to die. Go ahead.
And Nathan said to David, you are the man.
What? Who the what? Up at the knuckle, say what? Who you talking to? Talking to you. You the man. Go ahead.
Thus says Yahweh Elohim of Israel, I anointed you king over Israel and delivered you out of the hand of Saul.
Now see, had he been thinking internally, he would have been thinking about all of these things that has been done for him. He's not considering any of the things that have been done for him. He's not considering any of the places that he's been brought from, but he's looking externally, and this is deep. He's looking externally at a person who's not even there. Go ahead.
And I gave you your master's house and your master's wives into your bosom.
Now, Yahweh know how to make a point. I didn't just give you a house. I gave you a house, and when you went in there, it was women already in it. What? What? Yahweh, who are these women in here? They yours too. What? The house and who that in the living room? That belong to you. But I saw somebody in the kitchen too. You said that belong to you too? What? What? How you go against something that show you something like that? How you go against him? You gonna give me a house and everything that's in it? Who built this pool out here? That's your pool. I didn't know I had a pool. I can't even swim. You gonna give me a pool, Yahweh? I better learn how to swim. You gonna give me a pool right here? I can drown at my own house. Go ahead.
Sometimes I think about scenarios like this where, David, he was fervent, before he became king and while he was gathering his kingdom together, and then he became complacent. And I think about,
Long as he was busy.
Right.
See? Minute he decided to sit home,
Exactly.
or somebody done talked him into sitting home, he come out on the roof and see something he ain't have no business seeing.
Exactly. Because in that story, if you look at that story, they were out fighting Moab. The king is supposed to be there leading the charge against the enemies of Israel, and he was at home. And it's that thing. I think about that when it says, in the scripture, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. And so, the first that come in, sometimes it strikes me as, people who have been in the word a long time, You get complacent.
Oh,
you
yeah.
get comfortable.
Yeah. You forget some of that stuff, that
Exactly,
zeal that you
that
had when you
fever.
came in.
Yeah.
You forget some of that, and it changes, you know. And it's like people in a relationship. When they first get in a relationship, you hang up. Now you hang up. Now you hang up. 5 years later, now when you say bye, all right, I'm going to the mall. What happened? What happened to bye? What happened to the kisses? You know, you love me. I love you today. I love you today. I love you yesterday. I love you tomorrow. Now it's like, yeah, whatever. I hope you make it. I hope you don't get hit by a truck. Bye. Right. That's how we end up being after the word is no longer new to us. That's why some of the biggest transgressions, it don't come from the people who knew in the word. It come from the people who've been in the word. Because now it's become less special to them. See? Go ahead. Well, we verse 8.
And I gave you your master's house and your master's wives into your bosom, and gave you the house of Israel and of Yehudah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto you such and such things.
So understand what Yahweh is saying. Okay, I gave you your master's house and your master's wives. Why is he saying that? Look, you don't have no reason to desire nothing. I gave you so much in your house, you have no reason to desire anything. This is how I'm going to keep you out of sin. I got everything you need right here. I already put it in. You ain't went in the basement yet, hey. Go in the basement. Who you got here? That's right. Who you got here? I am. They're going downstairs. Go down. I'm going to wait up here for you when you get back. What? So this then makes him exceptionally angry. I gave you everything. I gave you stuff you ain't even asked for. Go ahead.
Wherefore have you despised the commandment of Yahweh to do evil in his sight? You have killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and have taken his wife to be your wife, and have slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon.
Right. You didn't kill him yourself. You set him up to be killed. Yahweh said, no, that's your sword. Go ahead.
Now therefore the sword shall never depart from your house.
The sword will never depart from your house. Because you have done this thing, you are going to have war in your house forever. Go ahead.
Because you have despised me.
Now, we don't consider that it's Yahweh that we're despising when we do certain things. Go ahead.
And have taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife.
This going pretty deep to start off being about a ewe lamb. You got to think about what his face looked like about right now. Yeah, this man, he had no pity. He should die. And then he should pay fourfold. Man, he got to pay and die? That deep when you got to pay and die. How you pay and die? I mean, if I die, I don't know if I paid. Go ahead.
Thus says Yahweh, behold, I'll raise up evil against you out of your own house.
Oh, and he did it. Go ahead.
And I'll take your wives before your eyes, and give them unto your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in the sight of this son.
Now, you know what? This is a hard God. It's a hard God. I will raise up evil against you out of your house, which he did, and I will take your wives, plural, before your eyes and give them unto your neighbor. You can't get no more neighborly than your son. And he shall lie with your wives in the sight of this son. Now see, there's some punishment that you can't even conjure up yourself. Because this in itself, Yahweh, hold on. Yahweh, what you proposing here is this is pornography. You gonna tell me that you gonna do this in the daytime while we looking? Yahweh, you don't went against your own law. Nah, his law apply to you. He said, no, you broke the law. Oh, I'm finna show you how you break the law. No. I'm gonna make your neighbor do this. He said, you did this in the night. I'm gonna make sure your judgment be done in the day. See, you did it in slickness. But what we have to look at is how this judgment comes. Now, what's interesting though, is now we still get letter of the law and spirit of the law, and we in the Old Testament. This is the place where they say it ain't nothing but the letter of the law in the Old Testament. Keep reading.
You know, what's also interesting is that he pronounced fourfold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh said he gonna sleep with your wives.
Yeah,
Paying fourfold.
right. They ain't gonna sleep with one. See, now imagine trying to make that negotiation. Like, hold on, Yahweh. Well, I per se, I only slept with one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so, why don't I give you a call? You can go, and then, I don't really go in there that much. Yahweh like, no, you don't get to choose. I'm doing the choosing. No, that ain't gonna work. Go ahead.
You know what I was gonna say? It was also real personal, because not only that, but I mean, he lost a baby, and then he lost a lot of his children, behind this. But the thing was personal that he did. Uriah was close to him. That was one of his mighty men.
Oh, no, that ain't the deepest personal part. Go ahead, go and finish.
Yeah, and so, when Yahweh got ready to do it, I mean, he used his son, and his son was also close to him. It's one of those things, that eye for an eye.
No. What? This is what get a man. He had to still take care of that woman, all them women, but he couldn't go in unto them no more. Don't nothing make a man, nothing make a man more upset. Nothing than having to pay. But he can't like, woo, yo, boy, yo, yowza. Yeah, that one. Nothing upsets a man more than that. So Yahweh makes him take care of all them women. And he just got to keep walking by there. He didn't even want to walk around that block no more. Like, hey, King, you want to walk down the street? No, I don't want to walk down that street. I'm going to have to see Sharon. And bad enough, I saw in that new dress I bought. She looks so nice. But I can't even make myself go over there. I want y'all to build me a wall so I don't have to look over there. Right. Now, see, that's punishment right there. There ain't nobody punished like Yahweh. Can't nobody love like Yahweh, and can't nobody punish like Yahweh. So you may want to decide which one of those lanes you want to be on. You want to be on the punish side, or you want to be on the love side. Because when he love hard. But when he punish, he can hit you in a place that don't nobody even know he hit you but you. He hit you in a place that nobody knows is your tender spot. Nobody but him. You got all this, and he just go touch right there. How you know? I made you, fool. I know where that was at. I know exactly where to touch you at. You can show these people whatever you want to show these people. But I know where to touch you. Go ahead.
Verse 12, for you did it secretly.
Uh-huh.
But I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun.
So then Yahweh also explains why he's doing things the way he's doing it. Remember when our mamas used to whoop us and she would talk, you ain't never gonna do that again. No, mama, I'm not gonna do it no more. Hey, she talked to you. She explained to you why you was getting that WWF smackdown. You just didn't get the smackdown and said, I don't know why she be doing that. No. She explained it why she was smacking you down. Where'd she get it from? The book. He don't just smack you down. He explained to you why you getting smacked down. Your smackdown is directly connected to what you did. You did it in the darkness and secrecy of night. I am going to do it in the light of the day. People going to be eating popcorn and saying, ain't that David house? Man, that deep, what is that? What are they doing? That's deep right there. That can't be nothing that was normal in the land. This probably had to be the first time they ever seen anything like this. Go ahead.
And David said unto Nathan,
maybe that's where we get to drive in. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have sinned against Yahweh. And Nathan said unto David, Yahweh also has put away your sin. You shall not die.
Check that out. So he has put away. Wait a minute. But your sin has not been atoned for. He put away. See, this is that part where this is why we look down on the situation, because we think we done. See, you think that stuff that Yahweh didn't kill you for, that you have been forgiven and atoned. No. He just put it away. It's right over there. You want to go see it? It's right there. He'll open it up and show you right there. It's right there. He put it away. It still hadn't been accounted to you yet. So you might want to be careful how you deal with situations, because your stuff is still right over there in that box. He put it away. He dealt with this for the rest of his life. He put away your sin. Be careful how you hear what you hear. Go ahead.
Howbeit, because by this deed you have given great occasion to the enemies of Yahweh to blaspheme, the child also that is born unto you shall surely die.
Now, he even explains why the child has to die. The child has to die. If I let this child live, this child becomes a provocation unto my holy name. Then it's going to be, I protected you in this evil. Go ahead.
You know, you always said, and we don't even want to look at that portion, is that something has to die for atonement to take place. So here comes the death of the child. And Nathan departed unto his house, and Yahweh struck the child that Uriah's wife bare unto David, and it was very sick. David therefore besought Elohim for the child. And David fasted and went in and lay all night upon the earth.
Now, there was a question about how do you pray for your family even when your family is the one that's causing you the problem? It is right. You pray without ceasing. Whether or not you are clean, you're unclean, understand, yeah, we might have gotten into some things that cause Yahweh not to hear us. Then yes, it would help to get other individuals to help pray as well. But you pray without ceasing. Go ahead.
And the elders of his house arose and went to him to raise him up from the earth, but he would not, neither did he eat bread with them. And it came to pass on the 7th day that the child died. And the servants of David feared to tell him that the child was dead. For they said, Behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead?
All right. Now, David's sick. All right? But wait a minute. Uriah was somebody's baby. Oh, so what's happening? He's dealing with the law internally now when it's his loss. It was externally when it was somebody else's loss. See, the law means something different depending on where it's aimed at you. Now he's hurt. Why? Because it's his baby. But he didn't have no problem throwing that judgment on somebody else's baby. He didn't have no problem with that. Go ahead.
We also don't take into consideration how did this woman feel after her husband died, so-called in the battle.
So she had to deal with her husband dead. She had to deal with the child dead. And then knowing what she did in that whole situation. But keep going. We're going to get into that a little bit more.
But when David saw that his servants whispered, David perceived that the child was dead. Therefore David said unto his servants, Is the child dead? And they said, He's dead. Then David arose from the earth, and washed and anointed himself, and changed his apparel, and came into the house of Yahweh, and worshipped. Then he came to his own house, and when he required, they set bread before him, and he did eat.
So he was fasting and praying while it was a situation of possible hope there. After this, the child is dead. There's no need of fasting and praying and afflicting yourself at this point. Yahweh's decision has been made. Go ahead.
Then said his servants unto him, What thing is this that you have done? You did fast and weep for the child while it was alive. But when the child was dead, you did rise and eat bread.
Why? Because this is when other people fast and pray once the person is dead. He's like, oh no, I know what I did. Ain't no need of me doing all of that. My opportunity to mourn for the child and to try to keep the child alive was at that point, not now. Go ahead.
You know what's also good is that instead of them just going off on their own thought process,
They asked.
they ask the question. Some of us would just go off and come up with all different kind of conclusions. And he said, while the child was yet alive, I fasted and wept. For I said, who can tell whether Elohim will be gracious to me, that the child may live? But now he's dead. Where should I fast? Wherefore should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me. And David comforted Bathsheba his wife, and went in unto her, and lay with her. And she bare a son, and he called his name Slomo. And Yahweh loved him. And he sent by the hand of Nathan the prophet, and he called his name Yedidiah, because of Yahweh.
Right. That is Solomon's real name, Yedidiah. So you have this situation when you start talking about the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law. This trouble that came out of David's house that was always going to be there, that trouble only went to David. None of that trouble went to Bathsheba. But then you have to ask yourself a serious question. Why did it not go to her? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 22. Because at this point, there are two things. Yahweh said, okay, David did a thing as far as he laid with another man's wife. Then he had the man killed. But then there's a woman that's in this thing as well. So Deuteronomy chapter 22, and let's start at verse 13.
If any man take a wife, and go in unto her, and hate her, and give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid.
Meaning he found her not a virgin. Go ahead.
Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hates her.
Okay, so here's where this thing is, where we just take what some man has to say as if his word is gospel. It says, verse 14, I gave occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her. He brought an evil name upon her, and said, I took this woman, and when I came into her, I found her not a maid. You can't say anything. During this time, there was absolutely nothing worse that you can say about a woman. That you might as well go and say, look, I bought this car. They told me it was new. I took it to my mechanic. He said they done turned back the counter. This thing got all kind of mileage on it. This is serious business. People can die over this type of talk. But there is a system that has to be put in place, because any man could just decide he gonna badmouth a woman, and now she's stuck with this thing over her head because of what he said. Go ahead.
And lo, he has given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not your daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him.
That man should be chastised for the false report that he has brung upon this woman. But what normally happens, that's when we take off running, when it's our time to get chastised. Go ahead.
And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he has brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife, he may not put her away all his days. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die.
Now, what if the daddy just didn't keep up with the tokens of virginity? What happened if he just didn't, file that away? That seems a real strange thing. There's some customs. There's some strange customs. This is a cloth that is laid up under a virgin, and then the daddy go get that cloth. This some hard custom right here. Go ahead.
Because she had wrought folly in Israel to play the whore in her father's house. So shall you put evil away from among you.
Right. So then this is very dangerous for these things to be said against this woman if this is not true. But you have to also think about, what does the law say about a lie? The punishment of a lie is whatever you intended to happen to the other person. So there are certain individuals that have death coming to them because they were pronouncing death upon somebody else. Go ahead.
If a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they shall both of them die.
Hold on. If a man be found laying with a woman married to an husband, then they both of them shall die. Yahweh didn't mention one word against Bathsheba. Not one. Out of all this, he said, you gonna have problems in your house forever. But because Dawid had so much going on, Yahweh knew the power that he had put upon Dawid. A warrior, poet, musician. How many gifts can a brother have? Yahweh put it all on him. Go ahead.
Both the man that lay with the woman and the woman, so shall you put away evil from Israel.
All right. This is law. All right. The man that lay with the woman and the woman, they both of them shall die. Let's go to John chapter 8. It says the adulterer and the adulteress shall die. Yohanan chapter 8, and let's start it at verse 1.
Yahshua went on to the Mount of Olives, and early in the morning he came again into the temple, and all the people came on to him, and he sat down and taught them.
Now, you have a whole lot of people, there's a whole lot of Hebrews that say ain't no such thing as spirit of the law. Spirit of the law was already enacted in this situation with Dawid in the Old Testament. See, they want to say, them one bookers, say, what I'm saying, y'all got all this old twisted stuff that y'all be dealing with in that second book, But the spirit of the law was in the Old Testament as well. Because if the letter of the law was there, not only should Dawid should be dead, but also Bathsheba. Not only did Bathsheba not die, but all of the harm was inflicted upon Dawid, not upon her. So what happened? In the spirit of the law, he knew she had been overtaken by the power of Dawid. He knew the power that he put on this man. This man come in and women sing songs when he show up. Someone brothers show up and sisters be like, poo 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 poo, ba-da-pow. That brother got it going on. He walk in the room and they be like, skip it up. That brain. Yahweh put that all on him. No, man. Said she had no chance of standing up to you because of the comeliness that I put on you. Are we holding ourselves accountable for the power that Yahweh has put on us? How are you operating in that power? Go ahead.
And the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery, in the very act.
She was taken in adultery. Now, we just read the law. The adulterer and the adulteress, both of them shall die. How is she the only one now? And now, I understand who's talking now. These Pharisees, remember, these are doctors of the law. So law doctors grabbed the woman, but didn't grab the man. Where is he?
Caught him in the act.
Where is he? They was caught in the act. Where is he? Maybe he was one of them. See, let me tell you something. Look here, Master, I was testing her out. Me myself, you know what I'm saying? I was just test driving. I was never gonna own the car, but I was trying to see how it handled in the curves. You know what I'm saying? But then I see that's why we brought her here, because she should have known that, you know, she was married, and that's why, because. Don't make no sense at all. They don't even have the other individual there. So then you watch how Yahshua deals with things. See, he knows that this is an unjust situation. Or does he just accept what they say about the woman? Go ahead.
Now Moshe in the law commanded us that such should be stoned.
Moshe says that such should be stoned. So, according to the law, she should die right now. Go ahead.
But what saith you? This they said, tempting him, that they might have to accuse him. But Yahshua stooped down and with his finger wrote on the ground, as though he heard them not.
Right. Sometimes you got to learn to just write on the ground and just, you know, not jump into every situation that you are invited in. Go ahead.
So when they continued asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto them, He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her.
So now, what is he doing? He's dealing with the law internally first. He's still going to deal with the law externally, but he's dealing internally first. I know you brought this woman to me in hypocrisy. And then you're going to keep asking me, so where y'all buddy at? Because I know he was one of y'all buddies who y'all caught her with. Where he at? Go ahead.
And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. And they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, beginning at the eldest, even unto the last.
Right. But you see how even they were convicted by their own conscience, and they heard it. Verse 9, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, beginning with the eldest, the first one to realize that he'd been pricked. The oldest one realized, you know, he just made a fool out of me. The young stupid ones are still there. Where everybody, where? They don't even know yet. The elders are realizing, boy, he just really bad. I am convicted by my own hypocrisy. They are noticing that the young one is still there. They don't figure it out until everybody else leave. Then they realize, you know what? Why am I standing here? Go ahead.
And Yahshua was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. When Yahshua lifted up himself and saw none but the woman, he said unto her, Woman, where are those your accusers? Has no man condemned you? She said, No man, Master. No man, Adonai. And Yahshua said unto her, Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more.
Right. So then now you have this situation then dealing with the spirit of the law. He could have, had her stoned. But dealing with this the spirit of the law, he says, go and sin no more. He never said she didn't do it. He knew she did it. He knew it was a foul situation, but her judgment wasn't right. But understand, if she committed adultery, here's the thing. You understand that there's a man somewhere that she committed this against, right? And the way Israel is set up, especially in these times, this is a patriarchal system. This is all about, these men, yet this forgiveness goes to this woman. And Yahshua ain't even talked to the man. Now, what's going on now? He ain't even asked. He said, go and sin no more. So we have to look at some things here. I want to go to Genesis chapter 38. Genesis 38, I want to start that at verse 1.
And it came to pass at that time that Yehudah went down from his brethren, and turned into a certain Adullamite whose name was Hira.
Now, Judah going through something right now, and he want to feel good about what he, saying, because, he having some issues, and he's looking for a woman about town. That's what they used to call the girls when my grandmother used to say that's a woman about town. I said, what is a woman about town? My grandma said, boy, that's a hussy. I said, Grandma, what's a hussy? She said, you know what a hussy is. I said, I don't know what no hussy is. All right, go ahead.
And Yehuda saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And he took her and went in unto her. And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chezib when she bare him. And Yehuda took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Yehuda's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of Yahweh, and Yahweh slew him.
Now, Yehuda's firstborn, was wicked. Now, he's going to look at this situation from a point of view. His perspective is about him and his loss. Go ahead.
And Yehuda said unto Onan, go in unto your brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to your brother. The
same concept that is in this Bible later on in the law, which is also an African concept that is still on the our continent right now. We claim we African Americans, but you bring some real continental stuff in there, and Jake gonna what she doing? What you talking about? She gonna marry what? In this family? Oh, we going off. She was already with a brother, and she gonna get with another brother? That's a woman about town. Hussy. Go ahead.
And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother.
Right. Now, you have some people that teach this, that any brother that spill his seed on the ground gonna die. Now, they don't really understand this situation. The whole situation that's happening here is he was supposed to be raising up seed to the woman. Now, he did all the parts that he was enjoyed with, except when it came time to produce a seed for her, he spilled the seed on the ground. Go ahead.
And the thing which he did displease Yahweh, wherefore he slew him also.
Now, this ain't going good for Judah at this point. All right? And look, this is that thing. Everybody want to be Judah. We all want to be Judah. Look, Judah ain't looking good right now. All right? Judah ain't looking good right now. Okay? All right? Hey, come on now. Come on, Cletus. Come on. Let's call it what it is. Judah ain't looking good right now. This back to back. Go ahead.
Then said Yehuda to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a woman at your at your father's house, till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house.
Now, look at the weight that we feel it's okay to put upon a sister. Go sit at your folks' house and wait. Wait. We don't even consider this what kind of weight this is. Go to your dad's house and just wait. Don't be with no man. Don't be with nothing. Just wait until this boy grows up. Go ahead.
And in process of time, the daughter of Shua, Yehuda's wife, died. And Yehuda was comforted and went up unto his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hira the Adullamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, your father-in-law goes up to Timnath to shear his sheep.
Now, Tamar was a bright woman. She know that some things ain't happening and his wife done died, so he gonna be looking for some kind of comfort. He want to be comforted. So let's see how he seeketh such. Go ahead.
Well, we see how he seeketh it. Isn't it how he just married her? Because he was seeking comfort?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he about to seek comfort. Go ahead.
And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath.
All right. So understand what's going on. So that means you can tell a woman or a person based on the clothing that they wear. She had widow's garments. They knew she was a widow based on what she had on. So she took off her widow's garment, covered herself with a veil, and wrapped herself and sat in an open place. So what kind of clothes did she put on? Whole clothes. She put on whole clothes. Come on now, just tell the truth. Come on. Don't be scared now. Come on. What she put on? She put on whole clothes. She took the widow because she didn't want to be respected. All right? She put on the hussy wear. All right? She put on hussy wear. Now, she didn't want respect when she put on woman about town clothing. She wanted him to look and feel some kind of way. She wanted to be objectified so that he would hurry up with the transaction. So she put on clothes that moved him in such a way. I hope everybody paying attention. Keep reading, brother.
For she saw that Sheila was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife.
So she understands, look, my clock ticking. Okay? And Sheila grown, and he ain't brought him over here. Go ahead.
When Yehuda saw her, he thought her to be an harlot.
Why? Go ahead.
Because she had covered her face.
Right. So she put on her woman about town clothes. See? So this is why, she didn't get rid of all her woman about town clothes. She had one good woman about town outfit. So I'm going to put you right there in the closet. I hope I don't need you. But if I do, go ahead.
And he turned unto her by the way and said, Go to, I pray you, let me come in unto you. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What will you give me that you may come in unto me?
Now, here's the problem. This is how it shows that you have not been dealing with the situation righteous, because how do you not know that this is who you're talking to? See, you have set her so far off that you're not even thinking about her. You don't even remember her voice.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And he said, I'll send you a kid from the flock. And she said, Will you give me a pledge till you send it? And he said, What pledge shall I give you? And she said, Your signet and your bracelets and your staff that is in your hand. And he gave it her and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. She
knew exactly what she was doing. She didn't want no goat. You can't go back up and say, Look, this my baby daddy goat. You know what I'm saying? Who goat this here? You know this Judah goat. Listen to that. Go on, say something, goat. This my baby daddy goat. Y'all know this Judah goat. Ain't nobody that ain't gonna do nothing. But brothers know about that little jewelry. Okay? See, she done got a bracelet. She got a staff. Y'all know, hey, we know a staff from a mile away. We know whose staff that is. Go ahead.
And she arose and went away and laid by her veil from her and put on the garments of her widowhood.
So after she got through, see, she knew, and people think this is so disrespectful. She knew that if she put on a certain kind of clothing, that she would be objectified and looked at like a woman about town. Mm-hmm. See, as she gone in there with her widow's garments, he would have never approached her in that manner. So, to my peoples that hear me, when you put yourself in a certain way, do understand that you are asking for a certain kind of transaction. But then we want to still be treated like the woman in the widow's garments, even though we put on the woman about town clothing. Go ahead.
It also shows, like you were saying, her intelligence, because she also timed this right, knowing it was time for conception. And Yehuda sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Adullamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, Where's the harlot that was openly in by the wayside? And they said, There was no harlot in this place. And he returned to Yehuda and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place.
Look at, he trying to even be good by the harlot. Look at that. These are good times. These are good times. You can't even be wrong to the harlot. I tried to pay her, but she wasn't there to receive the payment. Go ahead.
And Yehuda said, let her take it
Now,
to
never
her.
mind that he's gone into a harlot now. Hold on now. We just don't, let's please not just discount that he woman about town shopping. Let's I mean, because sometimes, you just go through this. Let's not just go past that like he ain't done some foulness right here. Okay? Go ahead.
And Yehuda said, let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and you have not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Yehuda, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has played the harlot.
Now, she played the harlot. Wait a minute. He done let her sit over there all these years. Now she's being hailed, and look at this. She's being called a harlot because she's pregnant. And they said, well, she ain't married, and she pregnant. She's a harlot. Go ahead.
Hey, Hira also know he was out shopping for harlots.
Yep, but you see, that's a inner and outer thing. See? No, she's a harlot from over there. We didn't tell nobody what we were doing. We were shopping around the way. You know what I'm talking about? We can keep that between us. Go ahead.
And also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And
She is by, and she was, but it wasn't the kind of whoredom that they thought. Go ahead.
Yehuda said, bring her forth and let her be burnt.
Now you see the difference in that law? Now you see how we act? You see how now set the woman on fire. Set her on fire. She is just, look at this. Look how she is being judged. Never mind everything that she done been through. This is how Yahweh deals with the difference between the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. Everybody ready to follow Judah and burn her. Why? Letter of the law that ain't even been put in stone yet. This is just custom at this point because there is no law written yet. Go ahead.
When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man whose these are, am I with child?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, discern, I pray you, whose are these? The signet and bracelets and staff.
Now, Judah know that everybody else know. Who's on? That's like today saying, this is my baby daddy car. Y'all know who car this is? Everybody like, we know who car that is. That's how significant a man's staff and signet and his bracelet was. They know whose that was. So now he got the man up. Go ahead.
And you would acknowledge them and said, she has been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son, and he knew her again no more.
Now, he knew exactly what the situation. She has been more righteous than I. But he was ready to set her on fire. You see how, this whole situation, you can deal with the letter of the law so harsh that you don't even consider anything that Yahweh has brought you through. Look at this. Was he burning himself after he slept, after he had done made the woman about town transaction? Why he didn't just bust into flames when he was done? And then once it's over, he didn't determine that upon himself, only on her. Burn her. Now, if that would have been one of his kids, his daughter, would he have held her by the same standards? Are he ready to burn her if she show up pregnant? If something go wrong, do he hold his daughter by the same standards that he hold other people? Same thing we have to look at Dawid. He was crying about his kid, but he ain't had no problem sending somebody else's kid to the grave. That moment where the law does not come internally, it only goes externally. That's the thing that we have to protect our hearts from. when that law only goes outward and it never goes inward. That's the part that Yahshua said about the Pharisees. He said, you Pharisees are like whited sepulchres. You look white and clean on the outside, but on the inside, you full of dead men's bones. Because that's what a sepulchre is. It's a grave. It's a decayed body in there. But on the outside, it's gleaming white. We have to make sure that we don't get in the word and be so comfortable in the word that the law only has an external push. It only has an external application. It has to have an internal application. And when you do that, that is what helps you deal with the spirit of the law. You can't deal with the spirit of the law if you're only dealing with the law externally, because it's only going out. It's only going out. It's only going out. It's never coming in. Go ahead. Did you have something?
That's, one of those examples that, it warns you about being righteous over much, where, that your judgment is all the way on the left hand. And it's almost like, you're all the way to the left extreme. And it's almost like the same thing where you look at a situation and you're way too lenient with a situation. So now you're all the way on the right.
Uh-huh.
You're not in the middle where you should be, where you
either way is a problem.
Exactly.
If you're all the way left and you all the way right, it's a problem. Why? Now, why would we be all the way? We'll be all the way left when it's somebody that we like. We'll be all the way right when it's something that we don't have nothing to gain out of it. See? So, Yahweh gonna call out both of them. He not gonna call out, no, both of them is sin. See? Because you accepted a gift. Why you accepted this gift? Oh, because this is my son. Oh, this is my daughter. No, this is my friend. No. Righteous is righteous and wicked is wicked. It doesn't matter who do it. And that's that thing that we have to have ourselves with. Go ahead, brother.
When you look at the whole situation, once again, we see judgment being pronounced, but no diligent inquiry. Suppose you went through with this to find out that Sheila went around the back and you didn't know what he was doing. And Sheila was the one that got her pregnant.
It's something in each one of them situations. Even when Dawid threw out his, he threw out, what he believed should happen to the person. When you deal with this situation, even before with Judah not knowing if Sheila had done it, it still shouldn't have mattered. He knew what he didn't do. Look how long you let her sit. And that's the thing. How many men you seen sitting, years and years without being with a woman? He couldn't go 2 weeks. His wife died and he was seeking comfort. Hold on. Come on, Cletus, come on. No. Soon as I'm sad. I need comfort. Hold me. What? But she's supposed to just sit there without not having any comfort for years on years on years. But he can't wait a week and a half. But she is held to the point where she should be burnt by fire. Right. See, these are the kind of situations that we throw out of this organization. So you have them people who will marry a sister, try to hold her hostage by the word. She bound to me as long as I live. Now, he don't do none of the stuff that he's supposed to do. Then use the word to hold her in place while he go out and found every woman about town that he can muster up. And every time I find them, I run them out of here. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. See, they forget that the word says also, see, they'll tell you the woman is bound by the law to her husband. It also said that if that man take another wife, the duty and of marriage, her raiment, her clothing, her food shall not diminish. Now, brothers ain't so quick to throw that out there. No, you got to pay for all that. Oh, you want to get that? You got to pay for everything over there. I mean, hold on now. I mean, you're being rash. No, I'm not. That's what the word said. Let's see, where we're going to start this out. Let's start at verse 1.
Yes, 1 Corinthians.
1 Corinthians chapter 7.
Now concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband.
Now, people will tell you that means, that, hey, the law then has been done away with. Yahweh told David, I gave you your master's house and your master's wives. They have singular covenants between him and everybody in that house. He decided he was going to break that. And Yahweh broke him. Go ahead.
Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband.
Right. Do y'all know what benevolence means? It would be described as happy time. Read, brother.
The wife has not power of her own body,
but
the husband. And likewise also the husband has not power of his own body, but the wife. Defraud you not one the other, except it be with consent for a time.
Now, wait a minute now. So when a brother decide that he gonna go off and do his own thing, now, then the woman need to just be sitting over there by herself for 4-5 years while he off, discovering the world, while he on a world tour of Woman About Town. Now, and she just supposed to sit here, but wait a minute, but now we got to do benevolence problem. Because while he on his world tour, he's not dealing with this situation that he got over here. Right. Go ahead.
That you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer.
All right. So, sister said point blank, I don't feel very happy. You fasting? You praying? Not, but then why you ain't in here?
I got a headache.
I'm sleepy. Go ahead.
Says your body don't belong to you.
Hey, here goes some Tylenol. Yeah, do benevolence. Go ahead, brother.
And come together again, that Satan tempt you not.
Okay, whoa. So when there's that pause, here come the adversary of the devil. So while you saying, well, you know what, I'm just going to chill, I'm just going to do, all right, here come the adversary of the devil. Now, we imagine the adversary of the devil coming in all forms, but let me tell you something. The adversary of the devil know if what you like is tall, dark, and handsome, Yahweh gonna bring a 7-foot chocolate drop and put it right in front of you. And if a brother like, red and round, he gonna bring something that roll right in through the door. What? What? You set yourself up. Go ahead.
That Satan tempt you not for your incontinency.
He gonna tempt you because he know y'all not having happy time. Satan, you're like, you know what? I came by your house. You know what? I ain't worried about what I heard. You know what? I was concerned about what I didn't hear. Go ahead, brother.
But I speak this by...
You all right? You all right?
I was looking up...
You all right?
But I speak of this by tradition and not of commandment. This one gonna be an Instagram clip.
Yeah, clip this right here. All right, go ahead.
For I would that all men were even as I myself, but every man has his proper gift of Elohim.
Every man has his proper gift. If that ain't your gift, don't try it. Don't try to be no eunuch if you ain't one. You mess around like them fake priests. Oh, I will not be with a woman. Then you with everything else. Kids, goats, and chickens. What are you doing? Right, because you tried to be something that ain't you. Go ahead.
One after this manner and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the handmaid. Let not the wife depart from her husband. But if she depart, let her remain unmarried.
Okay, if she depart, let her remain unmarried. If she was the one who departed. Hold on, go ahead.
Or be reconciled to her husband. And let not the husband put away his wife. But to the rest speak I, not the handmaid. If any brother has a wife that believes not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. And the woman which has an husband that believes not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him.
Let her not leave him, even if they believe not, if they be pleased to dwell. That means they're not hindering your walk. Go ahead.
For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart.
If the unbelieving depart. Now, how long does it take to be officially departed? How long is a sister going to be held responsible about a departing brother? And how long is a brother held responsible for a departed sister? Read, brother.
You know, people go around and say, well, I still call on the name of Yahweh. I'm a believer. Are you walking the walk?
There you go. You can call on the name of how to do that. You can call on whatever that is you want to call on. What you walking in? What the vagabond Jews said? We extol, we adjure you by Yahshua, whom Paul preached. Them demons said, Yeshua knew, and Saul knew, but who you? And they ran out naked and wounded. Them demons knew you ain't got no power. You don't walk in that. Just because you call the name, you don't have no power. So you can hang out at the car wash on Glenwood and you can say Yahweh all day. But you ain't no believer. Believers walk. Go ahead.
A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases.
No. Read that again.
But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister.
A brother or a sister. See, what we read, a brother is not under bonds. And wait. Back up. How is a sister a bond under that? Because people they're going to go to that whole situation. Jump to verse 39.
The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband lives. But if her husband be dead, she's at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Adonai.
So then people will say, well, no, see, that man is still alive, so she is still married to him. But you see how if you jump to 39, but you don't deal with the things above that, you see how if you just cherry pick scripture that you can come across with one thing and not the other? So how long is the woman supposed to sit there bound while he is on a woman about town tour? Right. So this is the real meat of this matter and dealing with the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law. Yahweh is going to look at our intentions and all of the things that encompasses the whole situation. What have you done? What have you learned from? The word says, judge yourself that you be not judged. So if an individual has judged themselves on things, can we still hold them accountable for all of those things if they have judged themselves of it? Go ahead, brother.
I was just looking at this last part, like you said, jumping from there to here. The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband lives. We looked at the unbelieving. That makes you spiritually dead.
Exactly. Living and breathing, but it's equivalent to a zombie. So when that old flame come up, you be like, oh my God, it's zombie apocalypse. What happened? James done show back up out there. I ain't seen that, man. Boy, I tell you, go and get them silver bullets. But look, that's all that we're going to do for today. Lead us out in prayer, please. We're going to rise and face the east.
As we face the east, brothers, remove your head coverings. Sisters, always pray with your heads covered. Abba, Father, Yah, the El of Abraham, Esaac, and Yaakov, the Most High Covenant Elohim of Israel. Merciful Father, Yah, thank you once again for this opportunity, O Heavenly Father, for us to be able to go through the law, statutes, and the judgments, O Heavenly Father, for us to go over the questions that was put forth to this congregation, Almighty Yahweh. O Heavenly Father, thank you for providing a place where we can come, O Heavenly Father, to have this dialogue, O Heavenly Father, to have these conversations, Almighty Yahweh. O Heavenly Father, I ask that the things that we've gone over on this evening penetrates all of our hearts, our spirits, and our minds, and allow us to reflect on ourselves, Almighty Yahweh. Look at the inward man before we look at the outward man, Almighty Yahweh. I ask that you'll continue to keep your hedge of protection around us and keep us safe, Almighty Yahweh, and forgive us of our sins, Almighty Yahweh. I ask that you'll also keep a hedge of protection around this your little sanctuary, Almighty Yahweh. O Heavenly Father, in Yahshua's name I humbly come to you and pray and ask these things of you. Amen and hallelujah.
Amen.